Hey, what's up, guys? Yesterday, I got the news that Dana White said that he will give Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson the fight he wants with Ray Borg. You know, I did not get around to doing a video on the Mighty Mouse UFC situation, but I am and was 1,000% on the UFC side in this situation. And the reason I didn't do the video is because, as a lot of you know, I like to do my research. I like to have everything laid out, quotes, you know, all the info. And I've been busy. I just hadn't had time to do it. But I should have gave some quick thoughts. I am about seeing the best fights. I'm about the best fighting the best. I am not one, as I've said in the past, to stream. I am not one to steal pay-per-view. I actually pay for these events, man. You know, $60 a month going toward the UFC. Possibly 70 for boxing, whatever. I pay for it all. So I want to see the best fight the best. I don't want to pay for bullshit. Demetrious Johnson, pound for pound, number one in the world. He's been steamrolling through everybody. And he had the opportunity to fight a former bantamweight champion. And a fight that would have probably been a pick'em fight, or he would have been a slight favorite. There would not have been big odds in that fight. But instead, in the fight where he would break Anderson Silva's record, he wants to fight a guy in Ray Borg who I had to look up to see what he looked like, okay? And I'm a hardcore fan. I could not tell you what the guy looked like. I still can't. I probably shouldn't look at another picture of the guy. If he fights Ray Borg, he will be a minus 1,500 favorite over Ray Borg. And people actually want to side with Mighty Mouse and defend him. What is wrong with these people? Allowing things like this to happen will turn the UFC into boxing, where champions can decide, who they fight, who they don't fight. Make terms and conditions, cherry pick, all the things that happen in boxing. Sidestep number one contenders, sidestep mandatories, sidestep the biggest and best fights, and then we get one-sided, predictable fights. The UFC should have stripped Demetrious Johnson. They did it to Jermaine Durandamy. She wouldn't fight Cyborg. They stripped her. They need to take a hardline stance, man. UFC needs to put their foot in the ground, draw a line in the sand, and let these champions know, look, you have to fight your number one contender. If you don't, you will be stripped. The title will be vacant, and they can pick the next two best guys to fight for the title. As simple as that. Bisbing has been pulling, these bullshit moves. He wins the title. He didn't fight Jacare. He fought old Dan Henderson. All right, and he's been playing the surgery injury sit out game ever since, so he could get a fight with GSP, which is not gonna happen. He is going to have to fight Romero or Whitaker, or he will have to retire, give up his belt, one or the other. If Romero wins, do not be surprised if the guy retires. I would not be surprised if the guy retires. It says he's going to retire as a champion, retire as a winner, and that be it. And not fight Romero. Why? He will use the steroid excuse. He will try to hold that against Romero. Say he won't fight the guy because he's a cheater. And he I wouldn't surprise me if he said his family, his wife, would want him to retire instead of, risking his health fighting the guy who had popped positive on the test. Do not be surprised. Unless he gives up the belt and fights GSP in a non-title fight. If the UFC will allow it. Dana White said that he was not happy with Mighty Mouse. And, it is, it's very, sad and unfortunate, man, that this happened. But, I'm a fan of Mighty Mouse, but I cannot support this or any fighters ducking the big, real, challenging fights. I can't do it, man. Regardless of whose side I'm on or whatever, I want to see the best fights. I want to see the best fight the best over everything. I'm not gonna be a fan of a guy to the point to where, I'll be okay with him cherry picking and not fighting great competition. I want to see the best fight the best, man. So, again, I'm on the UFC side in this, man, and I plan on boycotting Demetrious Johnson versus Ray Borg. And from the clip I saw, the MMA Junkie interview where Dana talked about it, he said that I'm sure that the fans will be clamoring for that fight and want to watch that fight and all this and that. Hell, to me, I think he's subtly telling us to boycott the fight. That's what it sounds like to me. And these guys whining about not being promoted well enough, man. Millions of dollars that the UFC spends on promotion and advertising and shit, man. Commercials. Man. The production and making these things, man. Let's look at the UFC 200 commercial that they did. It cost $1 million. And then what happened? John Jones popped positive, and they spent millions of dollars on advertising and producing a promo spot for an event that didn't turn out to be what they were promoting, what they paid for. So the UFC puts up a lot of money, man, to promote these guys. And if they aren't happy with their promotion, they should promote themselves, man. Do things to promote themselves, not rely on the UFC. And they said Mighty Mouse was whining about, not getting pay-per-view points, and his coach is basically his manager negotiating his deals. Hell, that's the mistake right there. You hire a different company to do that shit, man. Experienced, talented negotiators, who are gonna fight for everything they can because they got to get paid too. They're gonna get they got to get their piece out of the deal. So they want to get the best deal. The guy whining about pay-per-view when he don't want to fight the best guys on pay-per-view. As Dana said, he's talking about $2 million for a super fight, and the guy gets the fight and he don't want it. He wants a easier guy to break Anderson Silva's record. To me, that's what it boils down to, man. That's the way I see it. So, I think that's it, man. If I miss anything, I'll leave a comment in the comment section. And you guys let me know what you think. But I'm going for the best fight, seeing the best fight the best. I won't always side with the fighters. I won't always side with the UFC. It's a case-by-case situation. But in this situation, I'm with the UFC, man. I want to see, the best fight the best. And I tip my cap to Dana because he wanted to make a fight with two top guys. He's not the one saying he wants to protect Demetrious Johnson and have him fight Ray Borg. He's saying I want you to fight a former bantamweight champion who's still in his prime. And I think Demetrious should have taken the fight because Dillashaw would be weight training himself to make 125. He's not used to fighting at that weight, not used to being at that weight. And that would have been advantage Mighty Mouse. The guy probably would have, worn himself out trying to make weight. Fighting at a higher weight for years and then coming down. Man, that was that possibly could have been an easy fight for Mighty Mouse. Weight drain guy. So that's it, man. Let me know what you think, and I'll check in soon. Y'all take care.